Inside this room, all of my dreams become realities, and some of my realities become dreams.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here? Alive! It's alive! It's alive!
You are listening to The Wilder Ride, getting wilder by the minute. Here are your hosts, Alan Sanders and Walt Murray.
Hey everyone, welcome back to The Wilder Ride, where we are getting wilder by the minute. It's a podcast that celebrates the films of Gene Wilder, 1 minute at a time. And for season 2, we are diving into Blazing Saddles, one army of the worst dregs ever to toil the face of the West, minute at a time. I'm your host, I'm Alan Sanders.
I am your co-host, Walt Murray.
And joining us, the guys from the Indiana Jones Minute, well, 2 of the 3, we've got Pete Mummert and Tom Taylor. Welcome back, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Hey, thank you.
Tom, I have forgotten to do this the last couple of days, and I don't want to forget at the end today. So if you'll remind me when we get to the end, because, Walt needs me to remind him of certain things, remind me to ask you about your book.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I want to give you a plug for that. My girls have all gotten their copies, and from what I've heard, they've all enjoyed their copies, and I told them about the one you're working on, and they can't wait for that one to come out.
Awesome. I look forward to chatting about it a little bit.
So, folks, stick around. See, that's a tease. You got to now. You've got to wait. Now, don't fast forward. No. Don't listen to the whole minute, the whole hour of this minute, and then you'll get all of that at the backside. But we are here for minute number 69, and we are going to start off with that exact line. Of course, an army of the worst dregs ever to soil the face of the West, and we're going to end with Sheriff Bart asking, "Where's everybody going?" Now, guys, I'm going to tell you right off the bat, we have got some vocabulary work to do here. We've got both something very funny visually, but we have got to break down 28 individual kinds of cutthroats, bandits, and bad guys that this army is going to be comprised of.
Yeah. I would argue there's a little bit of redundancy in this list, but it's a good list anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, well, let's go through it then if you think there's redundancy, because I was going to ask. And by the way, the script is pretty accurate. This entire list that Harvey Korman or Hedley Lamar reads is exactly like it is in the script, a little bit out of order in places where it looks like, if you pay attention, it looks like he's looking off to his right, where they may have had cards for him to read, but he actually adds one, and I guess we can talk about it now. One of the items on the list that he added was bull dykes. So, since all of these are just repetitious, Tom, what's a bull dyke?
Oh, God, you know what? I'm not even, I laugh at the term, and I sort of have a vague idea of what it might refer to, but I don't know if I give you an exact definition.
I think you're trying to save face for your other shows, and I totally appreciate that.
Maybe.
Pete, what about you? Are you going to continue to pretend like you've got an upstanding level of respect in this community?
Well, we have at the annual Gay Pride Parade here, we have a thing on Friday nights called the Dykes on Bikes. And so they celebrate all the different kinds of dykes. And a bull dyke, I think, is a lesbian of somewhat masculine appearance.
And that's what I always thought. It was sort of a mannish,
I did too.
Like the mannish side of a lesbian couple.
Mm-hmm.
Like you've got the feminine dyke, but you've also got the bull dyke.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sort of like the Bluto.
Yeah. The lipstick and the bull.
Yeah.
Walt, what about you? Is that kind of what you knew or understood?
I will take questions I will not answer for 400.
We've been walking the fine line this whole movie. Why? We have a list of names here. We are going to have to break this down.
No, I'm kidding. Yes, that's what I've always understood it to be as well.
Well, let's go through this. The very first 3 things he asks for, which seem pretty consistent with a Western tropes.
I want rustlers, cutthroats, murderers.
So we all know what rustlers are, right? Like people who steal cattle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And cutthroats. Those are people who are going to be hired for basic assassination or I need you to go kill people, right?
Could it also mean to cheat? Like when you think of something like if somebody's cutthroat, like they're going to cheat to get ahead.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
That's a good catch.
untrustworthy sorts.
You're going to use like cutthroat tactics. You're going to like pull the stops out. You're going to like pull the rug out from under people.
Just kind of ruthless.
Oh, I like it.
Lacking in Ruth.
So we need some. We used to have Ruth, but now she left, so we're ruthless.
Hi, Ruth.
And murderers. That seems pretty honest. I mean, pretty easy. We know what that is. Like, you know, sort of. It's mentioned in, you know, the 10 Commandments. You know, a lot of people say it's thou shalt not kill. No, it's literally thou shalt not murder.
Mm-hmm.
That's the actual commandment, by the way. We're doing a little Bible study here, you know, because we're doing Blazing Saddles. You know, we've got morals. The next thing,
bounty hunters.
We're all fans of Star Wars. We know what bounty hunters are, right?
Yeah,
sure.
What would you call? What would be your definition of a bounty hunter? Dog?
Like either an alien or a guy with like a crazy armor thing and a really long gun, or maybe he's a robot and he works for Jabba the Hutt. That's a bounty hunter.
Yeah.
Well, do you ever hire bounty hunters in your line of work?
I've actually been hired as a bounty hunter a couple times.
Wow.
Hey.
So tell us, what's your best bounty hunter story?
Well, both of mine ended up being pretty boring. I showed up at the house mobile that the guy was supposedly living in and had a little discussion with his mother or something. And I basically said I would think that if he turned himself in now, he'll be out of jail by Thanksgiving. And if not, they're going to hunt him down and he'll probably spend Thanksgiving and Christmas in jail. So she said, well, you can tell the police that he's over here. And sure enough, that's where they found him. And the other one, I just started making phone calls trying to get one of this idiot, trying to find a couple of his associates. And the first guy I called said, yeah, he owes me $500. When you catch him, can I get the money? I said, well, I'll see what I can do. Where is he? So that afternoon, the police were on him and they got him. So mine are two, you know, I basically deal with knuckleheads all day long, and that was no exception. So,
but so as a bounty hunter, you don't bring him in yourself. Like you don't.
Well, actually,
you don't disintegrate him or bring him in. Like you just call the cops and say he's here.
In those cases, that's what ended up happening. They weren't anywhere near where I was, but there are people licensed to go out and basically act as, in essence, as marshals, and they can detain people. They can, you know, essentially go arrest them if they have skipped out on bail. And I mean, they put handcuffs on them. These guys carry guns. They, you know, go through doors and bring these guys back. So it can be pretty rough work. And the Dog the Bounty Hunter stuff, I mean, his is a little, you know, I mean, he's kind of a big personality, but a lot of the work that they show on there is kind of the legwork that those guys do.
And they're kind of like on retention with the judges, right? Like whoever gave or the bail bonds, right? Anybody
they work
bail,
for the bail bonds company.
They'll usually hire the bounty hunter with a percentage to go after if you can find them and bring them back. That's their fee.
Okay.
Right. Yep, that's right. And it's not unlike the guys who go and recover cars who people quit paying on or whatever.
Repo man.
It's just they're going to repo the dude who skipped out on court.
Excellent. Well, that's the first four. Now, the next one we've got here.
Desperados.
You know what desperado actually means? It's Spanish.
I don't know, but I hope they come to their senses.
Funny you say hope. Desperado literally means someone out of hope, as in desperate.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They're a desperado. They're willing to do anything. They're desperate.
And I guess the idea is it drives them to crime because they're hopeless. They got nothing else nowhere else to go. I'm guessing.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah.
We've got the first of what'll be a rhyming here. These ones all rhyme. We've got
mugs, pugs, thugs.
So let's start off with mugs. I don't think it means a glass for beer. What do you think a mug is?
I was thinking
it's like a very 30s term or something, isn't it?
Yeah, I was thinking Bugs Bunny when I think of mugs.
Yeah.
What do you think it means, though?
Like a gangster, like a...
Yeah.
According to the dictionary, as used for a noun, a mug is a fool.
Oh, okay.
We need a bunch of fools. Apparently, he's already surrounded by them, but he needs them.
Well, did you read the Urban Dictionary definition
of mugs?
Yeah.
Oh, do I want to?
Yes. It's awesome.
I did actual research, but okay, what does yours say?
Okay, so one of the definitions is a British slang for a fool or someone who will do anything you ask, such as open the door or beat somebody up for you. The other definition is a thing that Urban Dictionary always wants you to buy. Because every single word that they have, you can buy a mug with that.
You can buy a mug with the definition on it. That's awesome. That is awesome. Oh my gosh. Okay. Pugs. I could only come up with one definition of pugs. And I don't know how he wants a bunch of little smashed face dogs that like to go for. They're not the smartest dogs in the world, but all I could find was the little small dogs that I think were bred in the Orient originally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But because their face is shaped like that, I wonder if it could also mean like a guy who gets his nose busted a bunch because he's a big bruiser or something.
Oh yeah, like a pugilist.
I'm making that up, but it sounds like it could be true.
Yeah, like from a pugilist or something.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Pug, pugilist. Yeah.
A derivation of pugilist. Somebody who's been boxed a lot.
I like that.
A boxer. I like it. Maybe it's short for Pugsley. One of the Addams family.
Yeah.
And then thugs, which, according to the definition I have, a thug is thought of as a tough, violent man. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's about my understanding of it. Yeah.
All right. So now I need to know the difference between this next group. Because the next group, he says...
Nitwits, half-wits, dimwits.
It seems like
this is the part that I thought was a little redundant.
A distinction without a difference.
Yeah. It's either redundant or it's contradictory. It's like, if you want half-wits, but you also want dimwits. And I'm not sure like where nitwit is on the sort of scale of full wit or half-wit or quarter wit. Or,
See, I would think maybe these go in order. Like a nitwit would be the smallest possible wit. Half-wit, you're halfway in a dim. Like maybe it's on, but it's not as bright.
Oh, I can see that. So he wants the full spectrum of wits, sub-wits.
Yeah.
The wits,
okay.
yeah.
So I've got as a, for a nitwit, according to the definition that I have, somebody who is a nitwit is considered an idiot or a fool. So we've got the repetition of fool again. But a half-wit is considered somebody who is a dim-witted person, also listed as a simpleton, someone who's just slow or stupid or a dullard. And a dimwit is a person who is considerably less smart than the average person.
Okay.
All right. That sounds like Pete was about right. Yeah.
Sort of
the dimwit is the genius of these three.
So is this like that old fashioned, like the 3-stage light bulb we used to have in the lamp in the living room where it was like low, medium, high, boom. Like high is sort of like we've got the nitwit, then we got the half-wit, and then we've got the dimwit. All right. Next up we have here, I got to make sure I do this in the right order. We've got
Vipers.
Now, what's a viper? Besides a snake, a very dangerous snake. You go first.
I don't know. Couldn't that be applied to a person? Like, hey, that guy's almost like the cutthroat kind of guy.
Yeah.
Hey, that guy's a viper. Watch out for him. He's going to strike and it's up to no good.
Yeah, kind of a snake in the grass.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
Well, I know vipers are definitely venomous. They've got a single pair of hollow, very long fangs that are very thick when they jab into you. They're very short snakes, but they're very wide as well. Like they're thick bodied. So I don't know if they just want if that's sort of like the description of these. They're really thick and nasty kind of brutes. But all I could find as a definition, a viper was considered a snake, unless you add the term colonial in front, and then suddenly you're in Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, that's right.
There you go. Those were cool.
That was a great looking ship. Yeah.
I loved it. By the way, do you guys ever grew up in the you both grew up in the CB generation. Did you guys ever have CB radios and CB handles?
No, I always wanted to, but never did.
We had a station wagon that just had one in there, like when we bought it, and so we would mess with it and just kind of, I don't know, I guess it'd be called like a prank call or something. Just like kind of get on there, just spout gibberish and stuff. It was probably really obnoxious.
Well,
I apologize.
between Smokey and the Bandit and my dad buying CBs, loved them. My brother and I was the Viper and he was the Raider because that was both taken from Battlestar Galactica.
Nice.
Awesome.
So that was my handle. I was like, hey, Breaker 19, this is the Viper. You got your ears on?
Don't ask me why I know this, but there's actually an app on iPhone that will allow you to listen to CB traffic. And
wow.
So apparently people still use the CB radios, and it's just as much gibberish as it was back then.
It seems a little like, I guess you're doing that for nostalgia at this point.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Although everybody's got like smartphones.
I've
and
got
stuff.
an app where I listen to air traffic control towers sometime when I'm trying to fall asleep.
Oh, I listen to that
Because
too.
they're always so calm and they're always so measured.
Wait a second. Walt and Pete use the same method of falling asleep. You could not have two further people on the side of the spectrum.
Well, I'll listen to that and the police radio.
Yeah.
There's one called, I think it's 911 radio or something, and you can listen to police traffic from all over the country.
Wow. That's
Are you
interesting.
serious?
Yeah.
How does that put you to sleep? I'd be like,
oh no,
somebody got shot.
I can't fall asleep to that, but I will put it on just as background noise sometimes. But I happened to have it on one day, the day that Michael Jackson died.
Oh.
And so I saw something pop up, and I switched over to the LA radio, and they finally shut the traffic down because they shut the radio traffic off on the app because I guess so many people had tuned in to find out what was going on.
Funny, I use Twitter for that.
Yeah, I use television.
Television. When I'm trying to fall asleep at night, we bought one of these like 5 or 6 different kind of like white noise generator where you can do like waves, or showers, or thunderstorm, or lightning. That's my favorite, the thunderstorm. I'll put that on. I'm not listening to like people calling in crime.
The air traffic controller one though is great because it's just like you said, they're real calm. They're like, 7904, please direct your path to. It's just everything's under control.
Yeah.
Everything's cool.
Yeah.
That does sound good.
Yeah, that's perfect. Everything's like you go to
Eagle
you're just
297, you're 2 seconds away from death. Could you turn left, please?
Well, I keep waiting for.
No,
I
seriously,
picked a
turn
bad
left,
week
please.
to stop sniffing glue.
They're coming right at us.
And Leon's getting larger.
We need lights on
Tell
the
me
runway.
everything. But from the beginning. Well, first the earth cooled. Then the dinosaurs came. They got too big and fat and died.
What do you make of this? I could make a hat or a brooch or a pterodactyl.
Gentlemen, let's take some pictures.
So, welcome to Airplane Minute.
Yes, we just took it over. All right, so the next ones we have here is...
Conmen, Indian agents.
Now, I think we all know what a con man is. Somebody who's trying to like scam you, right? Somebody's trying to get your money or trying to get you to buy something, whatever. But do you know what an Indian agent is?
I don't.
Well, historically, they were the people that would be in charge of like Native American affairs on the reservations, right? Like they would.
I was waiting to see if you had finished. You like paused.
No, I think that's about it.
Like you stopped hoping I would like come in and save you, right?
Well, I just read a book about the Osage County murders in the kind of the beginning of the FBI in the United States, and they talked
You're
about
on the right
Indian
track.
agents.
This was in both U.S. and Canada. They both had Indian agents. These were individuals authorized to interact with Native American tribes on behalf of the government. So are we suggesting that we have government agents as part of this band of murderers and pugs, thugs, nitwits, half-wits, dimwits, and everybody else?
Well, I say Lyle's already a government agent, so it's probably not too much of a stretch to say he's got some buddies.
I just think it's interesting because this was the first, as we come across all these different names, the Indian agent was an actual, like, federally recognized position of power to go into the reservation.
Yeah.
Did they think Rock Ridge was on Indian land? Did they need that for this? Walt, do you ever work with Indian agents?
No, but if I remember right, the Indian agents were also usually on the take. And they weren't
I can imagine that.
very honest. They were, definitely taking advantage of the American Indians.
Well, everything I read, and maybe they were, but everything I read was they were the only ones that were sort of like authorized or blessed to be able to be the go-between between the federal government and then the Native American population on their reservations.
And I can see that guy being on the take from both sides.
What do you want done?
Yeah, exactly.
The next one seems pretty obvious.
Mexican bandits.
I guess these are equal opportunity army. They're not looking to just keep things in the U.S. They decided to go south of the border.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no wall yet. They can bring those guys up, right?
Right. Just traipse right over.
The next ones we have here, I'm trying to do this in order, is
Muggers.
followed by...
Buggerers.
So let's stick with the easy one first.
Yeah.
We know what a mugger is, right? Like, we've all been to New York.
Sure.
Yeah.
Stick them up.
Or Chicago, right, Tom?
Sure.
Back in a kinder, simpler day where people just wanted your purse.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
turned you into Batman because they wanted your mom's pearls.
Right.
So a mugger, just wouldn't we call that sort of like a petty thief? Somebody who's just looking to do a quick score in an alley
Yeah.
or just kind of hold you up really quick.
Stick
Not
up
really
the
a-
guy. Yeah.
Not really like the big, they're not making a lot of money as a mugger, right?
No.
But then it rhymes.
Yeah, no, they're just after your wallet or your
little
watch
small
or
take
whatever.
stuff, small criminal. But then we go straight to buggerers. So, okay.
And we go straight past buggerers.
I let someone else grab that one.
Well, wait a minute. We can't do that. We've got to. Well, I mean, I do say it's one who buggers is part of the word. A buggerer is one who buggers. Does anybody know what buggering is?
Yes.
Okay, Walt, any experience in this?
No.
Really?
No, I would encourage everyone to not go to Urban Dictionary on this one.
Urban Dictionary.
Yeah, sorry, Tom. I guess we've introduced you to a new resource on the internet that
Not going to
may
bed tonight.
become horrifying to you.
Before you go to urbandictionary.com, update all of your antivirus software.
Yeah. Don't click on any
Don't
links.
click on the links. So a buggerer, I think I can do it this way. Do we all know? Do we remember the name of the bartender at the Rock Ridge Saloon?
No.
I don't.
Mr.
Yeah,
Johnson.
Mr. Johnson always like to keep things nice and clean.
Sure.
His first name was Anal. So this might be a reference to Anal Johnson. I'm just going to leave it at that.
They need the buggers specifically to ruin his business. You're saying.
Well, he keeps it nice and clean. He just like spits
Take
and
care of
burps
the
and we're all
Anal
good.
Johnson. Okay.
All right, so after buggerer, we jump to
Bushwackers.
Walt. We actually did this with an actual cowboy historian. We learned what bushwhacker is.
Yes, we did. And his definition, I think, is pretty close to the ones I saw, and that is that he's basically someone who hides out and uses deception to lure you in so he can kill you.
Right. I had no idea the term to whack someone was as old as the late 1800s, but somebody who would hide in the brush or a bush to jump out and shoot and kill you. They would use the bush as cover to hide their intention of killing you. They were a bushwhacker.
Yeah, I always thought that when the term whack came from the mob.
Yeah.
I did too.
that's
I always thought of it
totally
as sort of
what
like a mob term, but it goes back a little further. All right, so a bushwhacker. That seems like something they would need. Somebody who's going to be able to, commit murder and hide and do that. But what is a
Hornswagglers.
Is it a
I'm
hornswaggler?
trying to
Isn't that
think of what-
cheating somebody? Like you con somebody or cheat somebody if you hornswaggle them?
Yep, exactly.
Oh.
You deprive them by deceit.
I always thought that was what Foghorn Leghorn said all the time.
That could be actually. That sounds like him.
I've
I
been
think he did.
hornswoggled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every time that little genius little chick would always kind of like use like formulas and stuff and outsmart him. He goes, "I've been hornswoggled."
Yeah.
Let's see. 21 would be.
Horse thieves.
Is there a reason you need a horse thief if you're going to go riding in a wumping into Rock Ridge and lay it waste?
Yeah, it almost seems like the job would be too easy for the horse thieves after all that. Assuming all the horses are left, the horse thieves would just kind of come in and sort of take the horses, and it wouldn't be much of a thievery.
No. It kind of goes
Yeah.
along with the rustlers. I mean, do you really need to worry about stealing the cattle and the horses if you're going to worry about if you're trying to get rid of the town?
Look, when you're pulling a number 6, you have to cover all
Well, he
your
did
bases.
the number 6. So what is this going to end up being? Is this going to be like a 6 squared?
This is the 14.
It's the 14. All right.
They just left that out of the script. It got cut. But yes, this is the number 14.
All right. So the 22. Where did 22 go?
I think it's bull dykes after horse thieves.
Bull dykes.
Bull dykes is next. Okay, so we have bull dykes. We already talked about that. Followed by
Train robbers.
is there? I guess the train's not in Rock Ridge yet. So do you really need that skill set if you're going into the town before the train gets there?
There might be some.
Well, you want to keep those guys sharp.
Yeah, that's true. And they might have some skills that would apply to like a number 6 type situation or a number 14. You know, their general demeanor,
number
their general
14.
skill set.
Yeah, if you're gonna have to jump on a moving vehicle, but there's not. All right, fine. I guess. I mean, in terms of just general, like skullduggery.
Yeah,
Well,
skullduggery.
you know that they've got the moral flexibility that you're looking for in this type of job.
The moral flexibility. Well, it kind of goes along with the next one. Then we've got.
Bank robbers.
Yeah.
Have we seen a bank in Rock Ridge though? I mean, there's got to be one, but I haven't seen one.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
sure
a good
Johnson's Bank and Trust is there somewhere.
Johnson and Johnson. We're gonna need some more agents. Let's see. This next one's a good one.
Axe kickers.
Oh, I like to surround myself with a bunch of really good qualified ass kickers, especially if I'm about to go into a big fight. Like, you guys go first.
And this is exactly who you need for this job.
Yeah. Now, what's the difference between an ass kicker and a kicker?
Kicker gets there
Well,
like
have you?
10 seconds later. I think.
That's right.
Or does one just go deeper?
Maybe, yeah. Yeah.
One is more
Sure,
of
kickers
the
have better
outer,
aim.
attack, and the other one's more of like an inner attack.
Yeah.
Well, if you've had your ass kicked and you've had the kicked out of you, you know the difference.
That's true.
I don't know. Both feel like they left me feeling the same. I mean, I was in middle school once.
The end result is not great either way.
And the final, and I cannot figure out why of all the denominations, why the
Methodists.
That's one of
Well,
those
my
things
dad's
where
Methodist.
you can't explain why that's funny, but it's just funny that he says
Yeah.
Methodist.
And I think it's one of the funnier lines in the movie.
Mhm.
It just really, and it's one of those that if you're not paying attention, it gets by you.
Yeah.
But it's just, it's great coming at the end there. And being a former Methodist myself, and my dad's Methodist, I'm like, yeah, okay, it fits. but really, like, of all the denominations that I know, like, Methodists are the ones who, like, they run the homeless shelter right near here. They're always reaching out to help people, so it's just so ironic that that's who gets named here.
Well, maybe he needs them for the cleanup after.
Maybe.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
After we're done, we need the Methodist to come in and minister to whatever's left. Did you see? Okay, now that we've analyzed all of these words, because we had now 20, I said 28, but I think I may have misnumbered. So 27 total kinds of really just nefarious bad guys. Have you seen just how Harvey Korman is nearly at like that vein bulging on his forehead when he's delivering the Methodist line? I mean, he has really worked himself up with this list of bad guys.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah, he loves it. It's like the plan is coming together. He knows exactly what needs to be done. But I love that Taggart's fishing around his pockets for something to
Yeah.
write with.
And I love that he keeps his pin in the hat.
And it turns out the little pad of paper was in his back pocket the whole time. And the pen is in his hat.
Yeah.
Like you said.
And then he's like, "Can you repeat that, sir?" It's just so absurd.
Now, is this a sort of callback, but then actually a mirror opposite to the beginning when Taggart was trying to tell Lyle to send a wire to the main office, tell them I said ow, but instead of having to repeat himself, Lyle just goes with it.
I guess so. Yeah, that was pretty similar.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very similar scene.
Yeah.
Like one is dictating to the other, but in this case, rather than dictating the nonsense message, the guy can't find something to write all this stuff down. By the way, you're talking about mugs, and the whole idea, the whole joke we talked about with the Urban Dictionary said, you can order a mug with whatever definition you want on it.
Uh-huh.
There is a mug you can order that has this entire list on it.
Wow.
Now,
Really?
I'll make sure to post it on our listeners group for today. But I told the wife I want that, which is why I don't have it, because everything I ask for, I never really actually get.
That's sad.
That's called married life.
Yeah.
Well, no, I shouldn't say that, because you guys were like, well, no, I get what I asked for. That's my married life. But no, I want that coffee mug so bad. Every time I see it on Facebook or I pass it along, I end up reenacting it because I have to read every one of these just as he does here in this scene. I love this line. It is all of these that we've just gone through. We've dissected all the words, we've parsed it out for the fun of the audience. But honestly, when you watch Harvey Korman go through this, watch closely. It looks like he's looking off to the side to see the list of words. And the only reason I'm thinking of this, Walt, is thanks to our interview with Beverly D'Angelo from Christmas Vacation, when Chevy Chase goes through calling his boss that entire litany of names, and she told us the secret was everybody was wearing a card around their neck with their backs to the camera, so Chevy Chase could just randomly look at all these cards because he didn't have it memorized.
That's awesome.
That's funny.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
That's crazy.
Now, I don't know if Harvey Korman was reading it, but I mean, it looks kind of like he keeps looking off to his right for reference.
Yeah.
I think he is, because his eyes are moving as he's doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it, though, because now we've set the stage for where we're going to. Harvey Korman, again, we're backing up to the very beginning of what we said. This is the third act. We've got to get everybody possible. I mean, we've got to leave no rock unturned. We have got to figure out how to win this battle over Rock Ridge. We have lost everything so far to the sheriff. Mongo didn't work. The people of Rock Ridge didn't rebel and kill him. The beauty didn't work. This has to work, right? I mean, if you get every single bandito bad guy, worst case scenario person in the world, that's got to work, right?
I would think so.
Sure, you would think.
Yeah. Well, I've only seen this minute. I don't know what happens.
Goes off without a hitch.
So, and that actually will lead us, that little joke of like, could you repeat that? And Harvey Korman looks like he's going to have an aneurysm. We do have a few seconds where we see everyone in Rock Ridge is lined up like they're ready to leave.
Yeah.
I mean, we even see Howard Johnson's got his one
Yeah, I
flavor
love
sitting
that.
there on the outside of the wagon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's a good
So Harvey
gag.
Korman doesn't
One
even need
flavor.
that whole list of people. They're already leaving in droves.
Well, apparently what he needed to do was just put out a poster. He didn't really need to recruit anybody. He just needed to pretend he was going to recruit, because that was certainly working, because they hadn't had the recruitment yet. But we don't get to read the poster yet. We do see that it looks like, is it Olson Johnson? I think Olson Johnson has got the paper in his hands. He's sitting next to Howard Johnson on that lead wagon. And that's where it's going to end, with him saying,
Where's everybody going?
but it looks like the entire town of Rock Ridge is already packed up and ready to go.
It does seem like the town of Rock Ridge does everything completely together. Like every time you see them, you see everybody in town all at once. Like they're either welcoming the
good.
sheriff, or they're having a town meeting, or they're all leaving together, or they're building a fake town, or like it's never like, I'm going to go read a book over here. You guys go do this. It's like the entire town does everything together.
It's
They're a
almost like
unit.
they're just a bunch of Johnsons.
Kind of. The Johnsons doing their thing in the dirt. I don't know what that means.
Knocking it in the dirt.
Read into that what you will.
Well, they must have made a hasty decision, because Howard Johnson still has his apron on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't want to get his tie dirty while he was dismantling, Didn't he say earlier, though, Walt, I'm not about to leave here. I'm not about to leave the the hitching post I put up with these two hands from my ice cream stand. Well, he was pretty quick to get rid of it, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
Something must have happened. We don't get to see it until tomorrow, but obviously word's gotten out. Something bad's coming down, and that was enough for him to dismantle his ice cream shop pretty quick.
Well, but I would have thought at this point, Mongo is on our side. So things have kind of leveled out. So I don't think I'd be that fast to leave.
It is weird that they've got Mongo on their side, and Sheriff Bart's won everything he's tried. But I guess for storytelling purposes, we've got to see that the town at least is ready to throw in the towel.
Oh, so you're saying that they're following some sort of script? Is that what you're trying to insinuate here, Alan? That this is not a documentary?
Let's see. I've got in front of me scene 170. Bart and Jim, they ride into the outskirts of Rock Ridge, and they are amazed to see wagons and buckboards being loaded. It looks like everybody in town is making ready to leave. Howard Johnson sits on the lead wagon.
I thought you just were reading the novelization.
No, that's exactly in the script. You asked me if there was a script. There is a line here, though, that is left out. Howard Johnson is initially supposed to say to Bart, "Goodbye, Sheriff. It's been nice knowing you." Then Bart's supposed to say, "Well, what's happening here?" And then says, "Where's everybody going?" I kind of like getting rid of any of initial sort of haha banter.
Yeah.
Just where's everybody going? We don't need to have a back and forth. We can see everybody's packed up and ready to go.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's where this minute actually comes to an end on that question. So where's everybody going? So before we kind of wrap this up, you guys have been with us for the last couple of days. As we finish this minute up, what are your final thoughts about just Blazing Saddles in general? We're going to give you guys that chance to sort of give us your, we let you talk about your initial thoughts, your memories, but where does Blazing Saddles sort of fit in the pantheon of film for you?
I think Blazing Saddles is, I think it's definitely a product of its time. And I think when people say that maybe it couldn't get made again now, maybe it doesn't need to get made now. I think it came out exactly when it should have. That's where the country was. That's where the mindset was at the time. I don't know, but I mean that as a compliment. I think it's a piece of history in that way. And I think it's awesome for that. But it's all of that is true, but you can still turn it on and just love it and think it's brilliant today.
Pete, your thoughts, because this is only the third, I think you said a couple days ago, you said this is only maybe the third time you've ever seen this movie. Taking the time to sort of dive into these minutes and then maybe rewatch it as a more seasoned movie watcher. What are your final thoughts?
I would echo everything Tom said. I thought that was very well said. I'm not sure how much I can add to that. But I also,
it's almost like you guys know how to work together.
Yeah,
we should do a show.
I do really like how much they break the is the third wall or the fourth wall. How they break one of the walls in this, and it sort of draws you in, which I like because you're sort of part of this whole story too.
What I'm going to jump on with what you both said is we started off 3 days ago. Saying, people keep saying it's a great movie, it's funny, we love it, but it could never be made today. And I almost think people feel like when I ask that question, do I mean remake or make it for the very first time? I certainly don't ever want this movie remade. I think it is the movie it is. It just bothers me that people don't maybe give it the merit it deserves because we're so hypersensitive to certain words now. We forget that words are just words. They need a context. And if you miss the context of the movie, you're missing the point.
Yeah.
This movie, it's about being anti-racist. It's about poking your finger in the eye of people who judge you on anything superficial.
Mm-hmm.
Judge you on what you do, judge you on your merits, judge you on your accomplishments. But I love this movie, and that's why I think it's one of my favorite Mel Brooks movies and my favorite Gene Wilder movie. Because that message still applies today.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I feel like people would be open to that message today, but yeah, I think you're right that just the literal language would there would be like too many internet think pieces about it to even, be able to enjoy the movie or something. People get like way too caught up on that aspect of it and not be able to just appreciate what they're trying to say.
And I hope, and honestly, we were not going to do Blazing Saddles for our second season. We thought we're going to put this back 2 or 3 seasons. We're going to do some other safer movies. And then Walt and I, we were like, you know what? We're in a time where people are so worried about the surface. We got to remind people that you can't let that stop you from thinking deeper and don't just react. Take a second, pause, listen to the whole story before you make an assessment or you make a judgment. Mm-hmm. And I think that's just a good lesson in general. I know I taught my kids, never necessarily take anything for granted. Don't believe the first version of a fact you hear or a story you hear, and never be afraid to question. And I sometimes think we're in a time where we need a movie like this to make us go, whoa, wait a minute. Before you start throwing it under the bus because they use a word you don't like, don't you know why they're using that word?
Right.
And that's kind of why we decided to do it.
That's awesome.
Walt, you're being awful quiet. Are you asleep?
I am sound asleep. No, I'm just, I'm listening. I think that one of the more interesting things about doing this movie is the different perspectives that people bring to both the movie and the subject matter. And I honestly, I really am amazed that to a person, everybody that we've had on here gets it. We haven't had the one person who said, man, I've just been totally offended by this movie. We have had a couple people beg out and say, I really can't do this movie because I can't be, associated with, but they're always like, I love it. I'm going to be the first one listening.
It's like John
one
Wayne.
Of my favorite movies. Yeah,
When
yeah.
John Wayne was offered a party, he goes, I'm not going to be in it, but I'll be the first person to buy a ticket.
Yeah. And we had a guest who I had approached about being on, who is a minister, and he said, because of some things going on in my denomination right now, some of the younger pastors would not understand why I would do a movie like this. So instead of getting in the middle of that war zone, I'm just gonna pass. And but again, he was echoing, this is one of my favorite movies, and the message right now could not be more important to our culture, and yet this is not the way that I can really, be a part of that message. So it is really interesting to me just how everybody has that same attitude. Hilarious movie, great Mel Brooks, awesome message, but dangerous.
but I'm not touching it with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah. So it's really interesting. Just from a sociological standpoint, it's really interesting where this movie sits in our cultural mindset.
It'll be fun. Podcasts, as long as you continue to keep the content out there, you're not lapsing on your payments or whatever to keep the content hosted. I wonder where this movie, like, we just passed the 45th anniversary of this film. What's going to happen like 10 years from now? The next generation, the ones behind the millennials. Will there be a shift again? Will people start lightening up, or will now something be completely like the stuff we think today is not offensive? Will there be something new that's offensive? And then all of a sudden this is like, it's just a movie, it's fun to think about what might happen 10 or 15 years from now.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you wonder what we do now that we think is sort of normal and fine and acceptable that later generations will be like, ew.
Right.
Listen to them. They just said that so casually. That's disgusting.
Exactly.
Like what?
I think Jim O'Kane, and we all know Jim, said it best, and it was so great to have him as our first guest. Actually, he said
Jim's awesome.
He had read something that said our level of, and I'm paraphrasing for him here, our level of like anger or outrage always stays the same, but what we're outraged about changes.
Yeah, that seems to be true.
Yeah. And that goes back to when we first saw the movie released on TV. The N-word was still okay because everybody on TV was like, yeah, we get it because it's the bad guys are saying it and they don't really mean anything. Like they're stupid and they're going to make fun of these people. Now today, there's no way you're saying the N-word on TV.
Yeah.
But They bleeped the farts, right? The farts were the offensive thing back when I was a kid. And now the farts would be all over the place, no problem.
Yeah.
So the outrage, like the level of outrage stays the same, but what you're outraged about changes. And I think it's an interesting thing to think about as we move forward because, you know, we're commenting about culture. We're commenting about take a second and pause and think about the context, think about the meaning. Don't just let surface level things trigger you. But that's where we are today. Where will we be 10 years from now, 15, 20 years from now? When our kids are doing their podcasts about movies 1 minute at a time, what's going to be their triggers, you know? And they're like, can you believe mom and dad like this? You know, whatever. I think it's amazing as a student of history because things just really do repeat. So I guess I haven't lost faith in the world just yet.
There you go.
Oh, I have. See, that's where you're a fool. Go ahead and lose faith. I'm over 50, so I've lost faith.
I was a nitwit. I got down to half-wit, and I'm working my way toward dimwit.
Well, come and join us. The water's just fine.
As we wrap up with you guys, and Walt, you too, any final thoughts before we get you guys a chance to plug your shows?
No, I think we've kind of hit on everything I was interested in talking about.
No.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I'm good, I think.
All right. Tom, we'll go back to you as we'll go first to you. Tell us a little bit about where people can hear more of the Tom Taylor, including a book you've had published for a little while now and one you've got in the works.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, again, you can find Pete and I over at Indiana Jones Minute at indianajonesminute.com. You can also find me at Blues Bros Minute, where we're doing the Blues Brothers Minute, and Caddyshack Minute. And also, as Alan mentioned, I'm the author of a young adult novel called In Memory of Todd Woods. And it's full of teen romance and best friend backstabbing and teen angst. And it's good. It's a good read for anybody of just about any age after a certain point. And I think there's something relatable there for everybody who's been through high school and been through that whole period of life. And yeah, I'm working on a new book that I'm hoping to get published soon, tentatively titled The Nearly Useless Powers League.
That's awesome.
About some teenagers getting some nearly useless superpowers that are more trouble than they are worth.
I have mentioned some of the things you and I talked about when I interviewed you on the radio about that book over and over. And I'm like, and I think about it all the time about what would you do if your power was to like teleport, but only to a shoe store in like New Mexico or something.
Right.
I just think that's awesome because it like translates to all the weird, quirky things that as you're an adolescent, you're dealing with and you think, I'm the only one dealing with this, you know, like, why do you got to put a Charlie in the box? You know, like, and I love it because you're putting it in the superhero context, but yet everybody still has to deal with their awkwardness.
Yeah. Yeah. It's those changes we go through. Yeah.
That's great. I think we're just lucky that we stumbled across you guys and thank you guys for being here. Pete, where can people learn a little bit more about you?
You know what? I would just second actually Tom's book recommendation rather than finding me more places. I've read Tom's book twice and I adore it. And I think if you read it, you will love it too.
Uh-oh. Is your voice going?
It is. I'm getting all choked up thinking about Tom's book. Yeah.
Aww. That's the effect it has on people.
I'm also choked up because there's a character named Pete who was not drawn after me. So, but.
No.
Oh,
you can see yourself in there, Pete.
Wait a minute. Let's do that. You get a plug. You are actually immortalized in the Star Wars canon.
Oh, there
my
you go.
God,
Yeah.
Admiral Mummert.
That's right. I get killed by Darth Vader.
Hey,
for my incompetence,
congratulations.
which there is some true to life aspects of it.
That's awesome. Yeah, you actually had an illustrator for one of the Star Wars comic books who immortalized you as Admiral Mummert.
Yeah, that's perhaps the proudest thing about me in my life. So
don't let your wife hear that.
Well, no, I told her that. She knows that.
She agrees.
Yeah, I was going to say she probably knows.
All right, before we wrap up and before I hand it over to Walt, I have to say something. My wife, who I met as a second marriage, we both loved Star Wars, and I was like, oh my God, a chick who loves Star Wars. I'm like, that's it. I found my match. She got me for Christmas this past year tickets to go see the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra play the soundtrack to The Empire Strikes Back. Now, I knew it was going to be cool. I cannot express in words, and I wanted to put this in the podcast. If you ever, and I know the tickets are probably going to be expensive with whatever symphony is close to you, wherever you happen to be, whether it's in Europe or here in the US or whatever state you're in, it is so worth it. I cannot describe adequately with words what it feels like to watch a 90-plus piece orchestra play the soundtrack to one of the Star Wars movies. And to me, The Empire Strikes Back is the absolute pinnacle of that universe. Mm-hmm. I feel like it, I don't care. My eyes started watering with the opening title sequence, and then they started watering again with like sheer joy during the Battle of Hoth, and then again with the I love you, I know, and then the final rescue of Luke from underneath when he calls out to Leia. I was so immersed in that performance, it was worth whatever amount of money those tickets cost. If you are a Star Wars fan, I think we all are here. If you ever get a chance to watch your local symphony play the soundtrack, go to it. You cannot put a price on those tickets.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we went to see Return of the Jedi with the San Francisco Symphony this past summer, and it blew me away. Absolutely blew me away. So I second that. All
right, Walt. Before we wrap this up, we already heard from our Indiana Jones friends. Where can people learn a little bit more about the Wilder Ride?
Probably the best place to learn anything about us would be at our website at thewilderride.com. And from there, you have links to all of our social media, our past guests, future guests, current guests, and Alan's biography, my biography, all kinds of fun stuff. So if you're also looking for a way to help us out, you can...
Somebody's alarm just went off. It's midnight, time for bed.
Yeah, that's to remind me to blow out the candle before I
Holy
leave.
Crap. I look down, there's a pumpkin. Oh my God, is it midnight already?
Yeah, if I don't set an alarm, I might forget and burn my office down. So I don't want to do that. So,
all right.
So, but yes, go to thewilderride.com and find out everything you need to know.
All right. The last thing I'm going to say, I know we went long, but I love these guys. The Indiana Jones Minute may be one of the first after the Thing Minute, which is a podcast that I actually was on, talking about John Carpenter's The Thing, and it got me so interested in other movies that might be done 1 minute at a time. I stumbled across these guys. They are awesome. They are fantastic. Folks, there's an entire community at moviesbyminutes.com. I would highly recommend you check that out. It's growing all the time, depending when you stumble across this podcast. There may be a group out there doing a movie you love, and this is a great niche, a great way to just kind of learn about the movie, learn about the people talking about the movie, and just having a great time. Tom, Pete, thank you so much for not only entertaining us with what you do, but for being on our show as well.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, this was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us. We appreciate that.
Yeah, we really appreciate you guys being here.
Appreciate being asked. Thank you.
This is a ball.
Yeah.
And I want to encourage everyone to come back tomorrow because you want to talk about a strange wasteland of movies. We have got Rick and Julia Ingham of the Mad Max Minute. They're going to be joining us while they're working on Fury Road. They're going to come on here and they're going to join us to continue these minutes as we finish up the week on Friday. And they'll be here for minute 70. It's going to start off with read this, and we're going to end with a line of, well, a bunch of nasty desperados all signing in. But to find out what that's all about, you got to come back for tomorrow on this, The Wilder Ride.
I really hope I don't run into any Methodists in the parking lot on the way out of here.
I'm okay with the mugs and the pugs, but I don't want any thugs. And after this episode, we've got our share of half-wits, nitwits, and dimwits.
Which one are each of us?
Yes.
Yes, have some.
Yes, I have some.
No, that's not true. No, it is.
No, I've known you long enough, and enough that has shown up on our show that I'm like, what the?
Wait,
That got
what
over here?
outtake is he? Where did that come from?
He was recording that.
Where's where the guy
even in
goes, hey, I'm going to tell you something, but don't tell anybody else. I'm like, oh, hold on. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, right. Hey, don't let me forget when we finish the show. I've got a candle burning in my office, and I left it burning when I left earlier, so don't let me forget to blow it out
man.
when we're done.
Hey, how about you right now write a frickin' note for yourself and don't let me be responsible for burning your office down.
It won't work, and I need a scapegoat.
Okay. Let me put on here,
Yeah.
Mungo like fire.
I'll set an alarm on my phone.
Tell me I left a... What the... Wait a minute. Are you running a brothel or something? Why do you got a freaking candle going at 11 o'clock at night in a PI's office?
I ate Waffle House for lunch.
You don't really eat Waffle House. You kind of just rent it for a while.
Yeah, exactly. Is there anything Waffle House can't do?
Lobster.
Lobster.
Maybe sushi.
Generally seafood.
Okay, I would never eat Waffle House sushi. That is, I'll eat just about
Yeah.
anything else there. There's no way I would touch Waffle House sushi.
You splatter, scatter, smother that yourself like half an hour later.
Yeah. If somehow it works for hash browns, I'm not sure I'm eating my seafood scattered, smothered, covered, and chunked. Like, wait a minute.
Right.
Did somebody pre-chew and barf this back up? What is that? I'm not a regurgitate like a mother bird to his babies.
Well, I don't know if y'all saw this on my Facebook the other day.
We are
On
rolling,
Friday.
right? God dang it, my screen just hung up. Hold on. I was trying to buy myself time to get there. And oh my God, my computer's going all Fenort on me. Okay, here we go. Almost there. This is going to be a fun edit. All right.